Everyone underestimated the alien woman because of her diminutive stature, until a human bus driver revealed her hidden power. Mornings at the transit hub were always a torment. The towering spires of Nexus Prime, the Galactic Confederation's crowning megacity, clawed at the burnt orange sky, their silhouettes ominous and accusing. Beneath them, Vi felt impossibly small. "Step aside, little one," growled a draconian businessman, his oily scales glinting as he shoved past her. The kindergarten shuttle's on the other platform. Vi's pale blue skin deepened in embarrassment. Standing barely 4 feet tall, she was perpetually mistaken for a child among the city's eclectic alien populace. Her large, piercing azure eyes, her people's pride, blinked rapidly as she fought to hold back tears. "I'm 26 standard cycles," she muttered, straightening her black uniform jacket and adjusting the stylish beret atop her silvery blue hair. The morning crowd surged around her like a storm-tossed river. A glance at her wrist device confirmed her worst fear. She was late again. Twice this month, her supervisor at the Xenobiology Research Institute had scolded her for tardiness. One more strike and her hard-earned position would vanish. Through the throng, she spotted her transport approaching. The massive silver vehicle thrummed with energy, preparing to dock at the platform. Panic surged through her chest. It would leave without her. "Wait!" she shouted, breaking into a run. Her small legs pumped frantically, weaving between towering commuters. "Please stop," she cried, and for a fleeting moment reality bent. The air seemed to hum around her, and the transport froze mid-hum, engines silent. The crowd skidded to a halt, confused. Had the driver noticed? That never happened. The door hissed open and a figure emerged, making Vi's breath hitch. Unlike the city's usual alien mix, this was unmistakably human. A rarity here. Tall, nearly 2 feet above her. Broad-shouldered in a dark blue driver's uniform. Sandy blonde hair cropped short, jaw dusted with stubble. "Did you do that?" he asked, hazel eyes fixed on her, curious and sharp. "Do what?" Vi stammered. The human glanced around, then lowered his voice. "The bus shouldn't have stopped like that. The engines. They shut down when you yelled." He extended a calloused hand. "I'm Dylan." Vi hesitated, then shook it, surprised by its warmth. "Vitali." "You'd better board," Dylan said, gesturing to the transport. "But we need to talk later." As Vi stepped aboard, passengers gave her strange, scrutinizing looks. A Vesperian in a government uniform was speaking urgently into a communicator, his compound eyes locked on her. All through the ride, Vi felt the weight of that morning's anomaly. Dylan watched her intermittently through the rearview mirror, expression unreadable but intense. At her stop, Dylan called out, "Miss Tanyan, you forgot to scan your transit pass." Confused, Vi approached the front. She had scanned it when boarding. Dylan pressed a small slip of paper into her palm. "My shift ends at 1800. Meet me at Orbital Cafe if you want to understand what just happened. And let's be careful who you trust today." As Vi unfolded the note, her stomach churned. "They're watching you now. What you did shouldn't even be possible. Trust no one." She glanced back at the transport, catching Dylan's serious gaze one last time before it disappeared into the morning traffic. At work, Vi couldn't concentrate. Over and over, she replayed the event. Had she truly stopped a massive vehicle with her voice? Her people, the Azurans, were not known for extraordinary abilities. By afternoon, a new security officer prowled her floor, and her terminal showed a temporary security restriction pending review. Something was very wrong, and somehow a human bus driver might be the only person who could explain it. Citing a migraine, Vi left work early. Not entirely false, her head throbbed from anxiety. The officer had followed her to the lab twice, pretending to check equipment. On the street, she lowered her beret, scanning for surveillance. 2 Vesperian agents in civilian clothes were unmistakably tracking her. Blending into a group of towering tourists, she slipped past them, approaching the cafe from a different direction. Inside, Dylan sat at a corner table, a steaming mug in hand. Relief washed over him as she slid into the seat across from him. "I almost didn't make it," she admitted. "There are agents following me." Dylan's hazel eyes locked onto hers, intensity simmering. "What you did this morning, stopping a vehicle with your voice, is something the Confederation has been searching for. It's called voice-activated kinetic manipulation, the command gene." "But that's impossible," Vi said. "My people, we don't have powers." "Not officially," Dylan replied, sipping his drink. "Humans have been observing the Confederation for decades. They've tried to replicate this ability, but you—" His gaze softened. "You did it naturally. You're not just a bus driver," she whispered. He smiled faintly. I drive a bus, but I also work for the Human Diplomatic Intelligence Service. We need to get you somewhere safe. The closeness of his body, the warmth in his hand, made her cheeks flush. She'd never been this near a human. Why help me? I'm just a lab tech. Dylan's jaw tightened. Because of what they'll do if they catch you. And humans, we protect the underdog. They shared a small laugh despite the danger. Their conversation was cut short as two agents entered the cafe. Dylan's thumb traced circles on her palm. When I squeeze your hand, head for the service corridor. I'll create a distraction. Vi obeyed, adrenaline surging as she sprinted down the corridor. Shouts and crashes echoed behind her. Dylan was at work. Within moments he joined her, dragging her through the kitchen into the alley, then through a maze of streets to an unmarked transport pod. Inside the cramped pod, pressed against him, Vi felt a warmth she had never known. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet, he said, eyes softening. We've got a long night ahead. The pod sputtered at the edge of the Emerald Wilds. Dylan cursed, grabbing a survival pack. We go on foot. They'll have drones out in an hour. The forest glowed eerily, alive with bioluminescent fungi. Vi stumbled. Dylan caught her. Don't worry. I grew up off Earth, survival's in my blood. Hours passed. Eventually, Dylan led them to a natural clearing. Rest here, he said, unfolding a thermal blanket. The light will mask our heat. Vi marveled at the wilderness. I've never been outside the city. Dylan handed her a nutrient bar. Human food, best we've got, he joked. Vi's mind raced. Tell me about this command gene. How do I have it? The Confederation experimented for decades to create the perfect soldier. Voice-controlled, powerful. You're natural, 1 in a trillion. His fingers brushed a strand of her hair away, sending a shiver down her spine. I've always been overlooked. Too small, too quiet, she admitted. I saw you, Dylan said simply. From the moment you stopped my bus, I saw you. The intensity in his gaze left her breathless. Her heart raced as danger, attraction, and an impossible new power intertwined around them. A crack of branches nearby froze them both. Dylan extinguished their light, pulling Vi closer. His heart beat strong, steady, and in that moment, for all the peril and uncertainty, Vi felt seen.
A twig snapped behind them. Vi spun, heart hammering, and froze. At the edge of the clearing stood the third Traken, but this one was different. Its neural interface was more extensive, covering most of its face and neck, glowing ominously red. The creature's posture was low, predatory, muscles coiled like springs. Dylan's eyes narrowed. Stay behind me, he commanded, his voice low, deadly. He drew his compact pulse pistol, moving with a predator's precision. I wasn't always just a bus driver, he added, a grim smirk touching his lips. 7th Tactical, 4 years embedded with Confederation peacekeepers. Undercover in civilian transport. The howls of the fallen hunters echoed faintly in the distance, but here only the one remained. Unlike the drones or the hunter-seekers, this was living enhanced technology, perfectly engineered to track and kill. Vi's mind raced. It's still a machine at some level. I have to try. She closed her eyes, extending her awareness. Energy pulsed through the forest. The drones were bright, organized nodes, but the Traken radiated something different. Chaotic, organic bioelectrical signature, overlaid with neural implants. I can feel it. Vi focused on the interface wrapped around the creature's skull. Deactivate targeting system. Sparks flashed, and the Traken yelped, confused. Dylan stared at her, mouth slightly open. How did you? I think I can feel them now, she said softly, awe in her voice. All their energy patterns, the connections, it's like seeing a new color for the first time. Another howl cut closer. Dylan yanked her behind a massive tree trunk, taking up a defensive stance. I got one, but there are still 2 more, and they're adapting. A blur erupted from the underbrush. The Traken that had attacked earlier, nearly 7 feet tall, gray skin, elongated limbs, charged with terrifying speed. Dylan fired 3 shots in rapid succession. The first 2, the creature dodged effortlessly. The third struck its shoulder, spinning it around, but instead of falling, it snarled and lunged. Down! Dylan shouted, tackling Vi to the ground as the creature leapt over them. Rolling expertly, he sprang to his feet, engaging in close combat. Every move was efficient, lethal, a human moving like a machine trained for war. The interface, he grunted between strikes. Can you shut it down? Vi reached out, touching the neural tech with her mind. Sparks and smoke erupted from the implant. The creature clawed at its own head, screaming in confusion. Dylan's swift kick and a precise strike to its neck finally brought it down, unconscious. "One down!" he panted, retrieving his weapon. V's fingers tingled. Something new was blooming inside her, an awareness that went beyond machines. She could sense the Kraken's bioelectrical field, its nervous system, its raw power. "Dylan, I think I can—" The words froze as the third Kraken burst from the tree line, charging toward them with terrifying speed. Dylan shoved her behind a tree, drawing a bead with his pistol. Vi clenched her eyes shut and reached outward. Not just to the neural implant, but into the creature itself, into its bioelectrical energy. Sleep. The effect was immediate. The Kraken froze mid-charge, limbs trembling. Its eyes flickered, then closed as it collapsed to the forest floor. Dylan stared at her, awe and fear etched across his face. That's beyond what the Confederation thought possible, he whispered. You didn't just command the tech. You affected the creature itself. Vi sank to the ground, breathless, feeling the weight and wonder of her newfound power. For the first time, she understood. She wasn't small. She wasn't weak. In this strange, glowing forest, hunted by the most elite trackers in the Confederation, she was a force to be reckoned with. And Dylan was there, steadfast, his arm brushing hers, his presence a solid anchor in the chaos.
Asset Vitali's voice rang out, flat and artificial. Surrender for processing or termination. Dylan stepped in front of Vi. Run, he whispered. I'll hold it off. No, Vi replied firmly. We do this together, the Kraken charged. Dylan met it head-on, a flurry of strikes and counters unfolding like a deadly dance. But no matter his skill, the enhanced alien was faster, stronger. A brutal blow sent Dylan sprawling. As the Kraken turned toward Vi, something inside her snapped, a barrier breaking. The energy field surrounding her flared to life with blinding clarity. Not just technology, but everything, the bioelectrical signatures of living beings. The subtle electromagnetic hum of the planet itself. Stop! Her voice boomed, resonant with newfound power. The Kraken froze mid-stride, trembling as if fighting her command. Kneel, Vi ordered. The creature sank to its knees. Dylan staggered up, wiping blood from his lip. Holy Vi. Remove your neural interface, she commanded the Kraken. With mechanical precision it obeyed, revealing a face twisted in rage and fear. The Confederation will never stop hunting you. The Kraken growled. What you are, what you can do, threatens everything. Vi stepped closer, undaunted. Tell your masters this. I am not a weapon. I am Vitali, and I choose my own path. She reached out with her mind to the Kraken's intricate nervous system. With a gentle touch she commanded, sleep, and forget. Its eyes rolled back and it collapsed to the forest floor. Dylan approached slowly, awe in his gaze. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. He cupped her face. No. You are the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Vi leaned into his touch, drained by the exertion. I don't think I could do that again right now. It's exhausting. Then we keep moving, Dylan said, gathering their supplies. The human embassy is still 2 days through the forest. Before they left, Dylan pulled her into a fierce kiss. I know we're in danger, he murmured against her lips. But watching you stand up to that Kraken, all that power in your tiny, perfect body, it was the sexiest thing I've ever seen. Vi laughed, breathless. Is that a human thing? Finding power sexy, he replied with a grin. Finding you sexy? That's just me. And when we're safe, I'll show you exactly how much. The promise in his eyes sent heat coursing through her. For the first time she felt truly seen, not as small and insignificant, but as a woman of extraordinary strength. And in Dylan's arms she had found a partner who recognized her worth. By nightfall, Vi could barely stand. Each step felt monumental. I've got you, Dylan murmured, lifting her when she stumbled. I'm sorry, she whispered, as your eyes dimmed with fatigue. New muscles get sore the first time you use them, Dylan said. Your mind just bench-pressed a Kraken's entire nervous system. Vi gave a weak smile. Is that how humans explain everything? Only the sexy ones. Dylan winked, earning a soft laugh. Ahead, a decrepit structure loomed, an abandoned research outpost. Dylan's eyes lit up. Perfect timing. Though deserted for years, the facility still functioned. They pried open the doors to reveal dust-choked interiors lit by emergency power. Dylan laid her gently on a couch. Rest, he insisted, securing the perimeter. When he returned, Vi was already examining a flickering terminal. "Dylan, look at this," she said, excitement renewed. This was a human Azuran research facility. Dylan peered over her shoulder. Project Genesis. Classified level 9. They were studying psychic abilities in humans, Vi said. "Humans don't have psychic abilities," Dylan frowned. "Some did," Vi said, scrolling through the data.
Centuries ago, it was called electrokinesis, the manipulation of electrical fields with the mind.
The Confederation suppressed the research and the ability died out, except they took genetic samples from the last human psychics and spliced them with Azuran DNA. My mother was a research assistant here, 27 years ago. Dylan sat beside her, absorbing the revelation. So the command gene isn't Azuran at all. It's human in origin. A hybrid, Vi corrected. Human psychic ability combined with Azuran neural plasticity. That's why I feel this connection to you. Part of my power is human. Dylan brushed a strand of silvery blue hair from her face. And that's why I felt drawn to you from the moment we met. Their discovery was interrupted by a security alert. Vi accessed the cameras, 5 figures cautiously approaching through the forest. Refugees fleeing toward the human embassy. "She's injured," Vi noted, zooming in on a slender Moran. "We should help them," Dylan said immediately. Vi nodded, commanding the doors to open. The refugees entered. The injured Moran supported by a stocky Voltan, followed by a Centurion, a Felician, and a nervous Trill carrying communications equipment. "We mean no harm," the Centurion said, forearms raised. "We seek only shelter." "You're welcome here," Dylan replied. "I'm Dylan, Human Diplomatic Intelligence. This is Vi." The Trill's eyes widened. "You're the ones they're hunting. The human and Azuran with the command gene." "Not just for your abilities," the Trill Pym explained. "They need your genetic material to create an army. Their artificial attempts failed. They need a natural carrier. That's why they sent Krakens. And now, Commander Rex. Half draconian, half machine, immune to command abilities," Dylan muttered under his breath. Pym nodded grimly. "They're planning to extract your gene and dispose of you. And their first target will be the human colonies. The Confederation sees humanity as the biggest threat." As night fell, the refugees shared their stories, suffering under Confederation oppression, seeking sanctuary. Each tale strengthened Vi's resolve. This wasn't just survival. It was a fight against a regime that enslaved countless species. Later, alone in a lab-turned observation room, Dylan held Vi's hand. "How are you feeling?" "Stronger," Vi said, "but scared. Commander Rex. I faced him once," Dylan admitted. "Nearly didn't make it." Vi's hands framed his face. "Then we face him together. My powers, your training." Dylan leaned down, forehead against hers. "There's something I need to tell you." She silenced him with a kiss. "We'll make it tomorrow and then you can tell me everything." Months of longing compressed into a single night. In Dylan's arms, she wasn't too small, she was exactly right. Morning came too soon. Distant rumbling heralded Commander Rex's arrival. Through the window, the massive ship disgorged Confederation soldiers. Rex stepped forward, scales interwoven with metal, his right arm a weapon, amber eyes glowing. "He's immune to commands," Pym said nervously. Dylan checked his pulse pistol. "Outgunned, outnumbered? Maybe not." Vi gestured to a neural interface chair. "This facility amplifies psychic abilities. I can use it to boost my power. It's too dangerous." Dylan protested. "It's our only chance," Vi said, eyes blazing with determination. With the refugees' help, they prepared for battle. Dylan pressed a reassuring kiss to her hand. "Not everyone underestimates you." "Not you," she smiled, the alarm blared. Rex's voice boomed. "Surrender the Azuran female, and the rest of you will live." "Charming fellow," Dylan muttered, pulling her into a protective embrace. Vi seated herself in the neural interface chair. Sensors attached to her temples. Dylan stayed close. When the interface activated, Vi's awareness expanded exponentially, touching every piece of technology in range, from the facility to the city's grids. She located the complete files on Project Genesis and the Command Gene Army plans. Rex burst in. "Step away from the Azuran." Dylan raised his pistol. "Not happening." "Love," Vi whispered, finding renewed focus. Her voice amplified across the city, broadcasting the truth. The Confederation's plans, suppressed histories, and the promise of cooperation across species. Rex froze, conflicted between his organic and mechanical halves. "What is happening?" "Showing you what cooperation feels like," Vi said. The interface overloaded. Dylan removed her, cradling her small form. Pym monitored the network. It worked. Citizens are rising. The Confederation Council is calling an emergency session. 3 days later, Vi and Dylan stood on the balcony of the human embassy, watching the sun set over a transformed Nexus Prime. The council is gone, Dylan said. And you're the most respected person in the city. Vi leaned against him. Yesterday no one took me seriously. Today, they want me to lead the new Command Gene Research Institute, focused on cooperation, not war. And me? Dylan asked, smiling. You're joining me, Vi said, pulling him into a kiss that bridged the past and the future. Size has nothing to do with strength, Vi whispered, eyes bright. Sometimes the greatest adventures start when someone finally sees you for who you really are. As the first stars appeared, Vitali, once dismissed and overlooked, held the future in her small blue hands. And beside her, the human who had recognized her true strength from the very beginning.